Man, my timeline was on fire last night, on fire, because apparently I struck a nerve with the Cincinnati Bearcats fandom when the college football rankings were dropped. I tweeted out, Jay. I said nobody cares if nobody wants to see Cincinnati in the college football playoff. Like, cut it out. Nobody wants to see Cincinnati, and people were not happy, Jay. They were not happy with your boy. They said that it was a blasphemous take by me. Somebody said it was a pathetic take is what I got. It was one of the worst takes I've ever said because the college football playoff rankings came out. Number 1 is Georgia, 2 Alabama, 3 Michigan State, 4 Oregon. Our predictions were way off, way off. We had
Way
Georgia, Cincinnati, Oklahoma, and Alabama in the top 4. Oklahoma down there at 8, and I had a lot of people debating me about this one. And the most comical one that I saw, an individual. I don't like to talk about people without giving them credit. You know, I don't talk about anybody behind their back. I would never do such a thing. And I'm not even talking about him, but I want to give him his credit for this comment. My man Ian Kenyon at Ian Kenyon NFL pretty much said to me that this college football playoff ranking is not about who the best team is. It should be about best resume, winning games. If it's not just about the best team. That's what he told me. He said this is not about the best team. And I said actually it's complete opposite. It's about getting the 4 best teams in. By your logic, OU, Wake Forest, and San Diego State should also be in the college football playoff conversation. And his response to me was they should absolutely be in the conversation for the college football playoffs. And at that point in time, I had to tell my man Ian to cut it out, stop the BS. No, they should not be in the college football playoff. You saw the rankings. Do you have any problem with Cincinnati being left out of the top 4, or do you sort of feel my way? And nobody really wants to see that. Like, nobody wants to see that, man. I'm sorry. I have no interest in watching Cincinnati get destroyed by Georgia, Cincinnati getting rocked by Alabama, Cincinnati getting destroyed by Ohio State. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it on the limited New Year's Day games that I have. I don't want to watch Cincinnati. I don't. I'm sorry. If you're a Cincinnati fan, I feel how I feel. I don't want to see it. I have no problem with this because the way these rankings are setting up, Michigan State and Ohio State will play one another. The winner of that will be inside the top 4. Oregon probably going to lose at some point in time. They'll bump out. So if Cincinnati takes care of business, they'll be in. Like, if they take care of business and some things happen, they'll be in. The most interesting part of the rankings for me, was the fact that Alabama was at 2, Jay. Because what they're doing, and I said this the entire time, what they're doing is setting up for Alabama to get beat by Georgia, or if Georgia loses to Alabama, Georgia will still be in the top 4. The question will be if Alabama loses to Georgia, and it can go one or two ways. If they barely lose, if it's like a field goal, if it's a 1-point loss, a 2-point loss, I still think Alabama's in the top 4. If they get blown out, they're out. What were your thoughts on the overall rankings? Do you have a problem with it? Do you think me saying that Cincinnati, nobody wants to see them, was a pathetic take and one of the worst that I've had? I've had some bad ones, but I don't know if that was the worst, man. I don't know. You tell me if I'm wrong.
So Cincinnati not being in it, that's a perfect take. I agree with it wholeheartedly. I'm probably more bullish on that take than even you are because I don't want to see Cincinnati. I just don't. I've watched Desmond Ridder play one game, and it's because you told me he's good and he's probably going to get drafted first, second round. So I was like, okay, I'll watch one Cincinnati game. Otherwise, I just have no business.
No. I've never said that. No.
You never said me first, second round pick? You told me, well, like last year, you're like, Desmond Ridder, pretty good,
Going into this, no, I'm not on the Desmond Ridder side.
I will take that take back. You made me aware of his existence. We'll go with that, right? You made me aware Desmond Ridder exists. So I watched the game. I was like, yeah, NFL potential. All right, cool. No more Cincinnati for me. I'm a P5 guy. I'm an SEC guy. I watch some Big Ten football. I might dabble in the Pac-12 if they play before 7, 8 Eastern. But for the most part, I'm East Coast, man. I can't be staying up till all these times. Now, to be fair, Cincinnati, they play during the day, but they ain't P5, and I'm not trying to watch them play. But to speak more about the rankings, Alabama at 2. I don't hate it. The main reason why, I don't know who the number 2 team in the country is. It could be anybody. It could be Michigan State. It could be Oregon. It could be Ohio State. It could It's probably not Cincinnati. It could be Oklahoma, right? So Alabama at 2, whatever, put them at 2 because they're probably the most ready opponent to play Georgia. Georgia, obviously the clear 1. Then depending on how you want to look at it, maybe you think Ohio State's a better fit. Oklahoma's a better fit. But I honestly think that Cincinnati has no shot of
They
making
got a
it
shot.
at 6.
They got a shot. They got
No
a shot.
shot.
They got a
Okay,
shot.
so there's 2 teams, or sorry, no. If Oregon's already ahead of them, if they run the table, they could be in. If Oklahoma runs the table, which they should, they will probably be in over Cincinnati as well. So are you really going to take an undefeated Oklahoma team or an Oregon team with one loss, but still winning the Pac-12 over Cincinnati? You definitely are. Like there's no way around that. Michigan, they're probably not going to make it, but who cares about Michigan right now? It's all about Michigan State because they're still undefeated. Alabama 1 loss, Georgia undefeated, Oregon 1 loss.
Michigan State's going to lose. Michigan State's going to lose.
Well, yeah. We expect them to lose to Ohio State. And
the second best team in the country is Ohio State. Ohio State's the second best team in the country, and it's setting up for Ohio State to have probably the 2 seed, and then they'll play the who will they play? The 3 seed, and then they'll end up matching up with Georgia in the Natty. Ohio State's the second best team in the country, man, in my opinion. I think they're the second best team, and it's setting up perfectly for Ohio State. If Ohio State handles business versus Michigan State, they are in. They are locked into the college football playoff, either at the 3 spot or the 2 spot. It's one or the other. This is how it's going to go. And I don't know if Oregon's going to run the table. So if Ohio State wins, Oregon loses, Cincinnati is kind of pedestrian. I'm telling you, it's setting up for Alabama to still get in the top 4 despite losing to Georgia in the SEC title game.
Question for you, though, because realistically, Alabama's not going to be 4. And I guess unless Georgia...
If they lose in the SEC title game, they'll be 4. I'm telling you.
But they won't be because they won't put them against Georgia again, right? There's just no way that's going to happen. So they're going to have to be 3 because they're not going to have the SEC title game. Alabama play Georgia, and then college football playoff semis, Alabama versus Georgia again. I just don't see that happening. That would just be kind of a waste of time, in my opinion. So then at that point, Alabama's either 5 or they're 3.
Okay.
And I'm with you. I think that Alabama's probably going to stay in, even with 2 losses. They'll be like, they lost to the number 1 team in the country, best defense. We'll only drop them 1 spot. Then they'll have Ohio State, Alabama probably at the 1, 2, 3 game. And then 1-4, who cares? They're going to lose to Georgia, and we'll get Georgia versus Ohio State or Alabama in the final. So we'll see. I've gone back and forth with this, and I told you last night, and Bruning saying this, like if Alabama loses, they won't be in. But I just don't believe that. Like, I just don't. I think that if the committee puts a 2-loss Alabama in, it will be telling as to how they really feel about the rankings. It's about ratings. It's not about
where they're ranked,
people
man.
think are going to get into the country.
Look at where they're ranked. If Alabama is 2, if they play Georgia tight and it ends up going down to the wire and they lose by a point or 2 or a field goal, I will bet money they make it in the playoff. I will bet money they make it in the playoff, especially if Alabama's path to the playoff, if they take an L, is much more difficult. They need Oregon to lose. They need Michigan to beat Ohio State, which I think they'll do. And let's just say, for instance, Cincinnati falls. Oklahoma's down at 8, man. They're down at 8 right now. Alabama will get in. They will get in. Money, dog. Like, y'all, like, it's not
But OU's a big draw, too. That's what, like,
they are.
Like you said, it's money. So are you really going to put in Cincinnati over OU? Absolutely not. There's no way. I don't care if OU's ranked. OU could be ranked 10th right now. And if they run the table, they're still getting in over Cincinnati. So
Oregon is a 100% a placeholder.
Yeah,
Oregon is a placeholder.
They are.
Oregon is a placeholder. They will not be in the college football playoff. Nobody wants to see that. We'll see though. It's the first iteration of these, and it just brings me back to the BCS days, man. If you, I don't know if you were tapped into college like that during the computer days, but in 2003, USC was crowned the national champion, and they didn't even play in the national championship game. They did not play in the national championship game because the computer said it was the wildest stuff ever. Go look it up. Go look up who won the national championship in 2003, who played in the national championship game. It was insane. That was pure chaos. The BCS. You talk about That was pure chaos.
The funniest memory of the
Stone
BCS
Stone
is
said if
when
Alabama has 2 losses and get in, it will.
100%.
The credibility is already ruined. The credibility is
Well,
already ruined.
okay, here's where they have some credibility. Is that we thought they were just gonna grandfather Cincinnati the 2 seed because that's what the AP poll did, but they're like, nah. We talked about that. We put them at 2 because the AP already had them there. We thought, they're just gonna rejig the AP a little bit, but not a whole lot. Don't want to rock the boat, and they're like, nah, son, we're putting them at 6 because we don't like them, we don't respect them, and we think they're
like
trash.
They literally told you right then and there it's not about the record and resume. They literally, how they have it ranked right now, told you that does not matter. It doesn't matter. But Evan said it best. The BCS days, they were called style points. You had to go out there and stomp a mud hole in opponents to get those additional points. You talk about sportsmanship and all of that. Those were the good old days. But we'll see. We'll continue to debate this, but a lot of people didn't like that, man. But good old Ian says Wake Forest and San Diego State should be getting some consideration for the college football playoff. Ugh.
Maybe if they still had Kenneth Walker, they'd be in consideration, but not anymore.
I don't know what I that is a take that old GQ cannot and will not get behind.